So today we hear the story of Jesus and his disciples going to Capernaum, and the disciples arguing along the way about who is the greatest. And when I was reading this, I remembered way back to when I was a little kid. And I had two brothers, and there were three boys next door and a boy across the street, so there were a whole bunch of boys in the neighborhood, and we liked to build stuff. And the comparison or the competition we would have is about our dads. And the competition was which dad can pound a nail in the board with the least swings of the hammer. And it would start, well, my dad can do it in 3. Well, mine 2. Well, mine can do it in 1. So that was our competition of whose dad was the greatest. So I can kind of imagine these disciples walking along the way doing the same thing, talking about themselves. Who's the greatest amongst us? And I don't know if you can imagine yourself being there and listening to that. But if I were there listening to that, it would drive me crazy, to the point where I would probably stop everybody and say, guys, just be quiet. I don't want to hear your self-centered babble. You have no idea what you're talking about. But Jesus didn't do that. Jesus also didn't just stop and correct them right there on the spot. Jesus was patient, and he waited till they got to Capernaum, till they got to a house, till they went in the house. And even when they were in the house, he didn't scold them, he taught them. And Jesus does the same for us today. All of us traveled here from wherever we were to be in this house. To be in this house with Jesus, to listen to him, and to learn from him about something that it takes to be a disciple of his. So those disciples were arguing along the way. So they were in a competition with one another, a competition to be the greatest. And it's human nature for us to compete, and I think it's even an expectation of our society that we will compete with one another. Now, competition isn't always bad. Sometimes it can be good. It can help us grow. It can help us become better at something we're doing, but it can get out of hand too. So if we're competing out of jealousy because somebody has something and we want it, or we're competing to get more power so we can be the boss and have all the control, if we're competing for our own glorification so that people will look at us and respect us and talk about us, well, that competition can become an obsession. And it can just totally occupy our minds, and it will affect all of our behaviors, to the point where we are oblivious to what God is asking us to do and totally clueless about what it really takes to be first. And that's what Jesus was helping his disciples with back in Capernaum. What does it really take to be first? And that's what he's helping us with here today. What does it really take to be first? What do you expect of us, Jesus? What's your expectation? Now, society's expectation may be for us to go and get as much as we can to be first. But Jesus, he's got another plan. To be first, seek to go low, and to go as low as you can go. To be first, seek to be last. And aspire not to be the boss, not to be the big shot, but aspire to be a servant. And to be first, serve out of a love that is expressed by concrete actions. That means we need to do something. And Jesus showed us what we need to do when he picked up that child, put him in his arms, and said, whoever receives a child such as this receives me, and not only me, but the one who sent me. So motivated by our love for Jesus and Jesus' love for us, we are to do the same thing, to receive and welcome those who are like children in Jesus' time, those who are powerless, those who are marginalized, those who are ignored, and those who are lowly, so that the love that Jesus has for them can reach them through us. The love we share is the love of Jesus. And something really special happens when we welcome, receive, and serve people in this way. Jesus becomes present. Isn't that cool? Jesus becomes present when we welcome and serve people the way he asks us to. And you know, the time I've been at Catholic Charities for about a year now, and the time I spend down there, I see that often. Lots of people come. Everybody is received. Everybody is welcomed. Everybody is served to the best of Catholic Charities' ability with food or clothes or personal items or help with bills or help finding a home. We see that right here at Holy Redeemer, especially in our outreach program, where people come, they are received, they are welcomed, they are served with food, they are served with help, paying bills, and other things. So there is no doubt in my mind that Jesus is present right here in Burton, Michigan, all the time when that's going on. And he's present in the city of Flint, right in the middle of the city of Flint, right where we think it's the worst. Jesus is right there, loving those who have the least. So you can do this too. You, believe it or not, have already been given everything you need to do this, because you are a child of God. God created you, and because he loves what he creates, you can totally trust him. And I think what he's asking all of us to do today is to put aside any pride we have, to put aside any selfish competition we are going through in our lives, so that our hearts can be more open to receive more of his love. And he gave each of you, when he made you, special talents, gifts, and abilities for you to use in your own special way to let that love he put in your hearts touch other people. So, to be first, we let the love that Jesus put in our heart touch others by serving them. That's how we become first. So, after you leave here today, I'm going to give you homework. We used to do that all the time. We seem to have stopped, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So when you leave here today, over the next week sometime, I invite you to take some time to become aware of all those talents, all those gifts, all those abilities God has given you. And then in prayer, ask God how you can use those to serve those who need the most help, to serve those who are most in need. And then, through that, make Jesus present. Isn't that cool? You get to leave here, serve somebody else, and make Jesus present.